Hello, hello everyone, and welcome to Tuesday Tea. Thank you all so much for joining me here. I really appreciate it. Today, I am so excited. We are going to talk about sponsorships, and sponsorships is something that, oh gosh, there's so much to talk about when it comes to sponsorships that we're actually going to have to break this one out into two separate workshops. But before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you guys, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask or any points that you would like to make, exclamation point, if you'd like to make a point, or exclamation point ask if you have a question that you'd like to ask. And that will let the moderators know to help you get onto the Discord and all of that, and we'll pull you into a channel where you'll appear in this little box right here with your name and your profile photo ready to go. So as you are speaking, everyone knows who you are. Everyone knows who you are, and it makes it a little bit easier to know who's talking and when. We encourage you to use those if you'd like. Or, you can always make points in the chat as well. If you're watching the video and a question that you have hasn't been answered, or if you have a comment or a point that you would like to make, please leave them in the comment section down below. I do read every comment that comes in, and I respond to all of the comments that are on topic. If your comment is just something about like you like the sound of my voice, or first, there's really not much for me to say there, so I just don't. But if you have an actual question or something like that, I will respond. I absolutely will respond. So, today we are going to talk all about sponsorships, because when it comes to content creation, when it comes to streaming, when it comes to being a YouTuber, when it comes to doing a podcast, whatever it is, we've all heard them, right? This podcast was brought to you today by insert company, or I'd like to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, and then they talk about the sponsor, right? So we're all familiar with sponsorships, and I think a lot of us really want them because, it's a great way to monetize your content, right? Sponsorships are an amazing way to monetize your content, but there's a lot that goes into sponsorships, into finding them, into going about them the right way, and that sort of thing. And I want to kind of help prepare you guys for what sponsorships are and what they look like and how you can interact with them. So we're going to talk about some sponsorship secrets. Not really secret stuff, but they might seem like secrets if you're uninitiated into the process of sponsorships. So I did mention that we're going to have to break this out into two separate videos, two separate streams, two separate workshops, because there is just so much to cover. So today, I know how to get sponsorships. How do you get them? How do you get sponsorships? I know this is a question that a lot of people have and a lot of people want to get into. So is the question of where to find them, where to find sponsorships, how do you actually reach out and get yourself a sponsorship. We are going to talk about those things, but we're not going to talk about them today. Alright, those will be things that we talk about next time. The next time we talk about sponsorships, that'll be in part 2. Because until you know the things we're going to talk about today, until you understand what sponsorships really are, what the good ones look like and what the bad ones look like, it would be really irresponsible of me to tell you, here's how you find sponsorships, because you don't know how to protect yourself from the bad ones yet. And if you go through and you do bad sponsorship, it can have some serious impact on you. I'd like you to think about a couple of things. There's a lot of issues where people have done really bad sponsorships or they've promoted things that aren't the best, notably cryptocurrencies, right? Cryptocurrency sponsorships, a lot of people did them, and there came out to be a bunch of drama about them. And you want to avoid those kinds of things, right? You want to avoid getting a bad sponsorship, getting involved with something that's going to cause you problems down the line. So, in order to do that, we've got to start with the basics. So, we're going to be talking about the very basics of sponsorships today in part 1, and then we'll do a part 2 a little later on about how to actually get your sponsorships and what that looks like, where to find them, and some best practices. But today, we are going to be talking about what sponsorships are, what they actually are, and I know we all probably know what a sponsorship is, but at its most basic level, it's important to focus on what exactly a sponsorship entails and what it means for you. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to talk about good sponsorships, what a good sponsorship looks like. So that way, when you do start getting sponsorships, when you do start getting offers, you know the kind of thing that you're looking for. You know what makes a good sponsorship and what would be worth your time and your effort. We're also going to talk about predatory sponsorships, because this is really important. There's a lot to say about predatory sponsorships, and unfortunately, there's an enormous market. There's an enormous market of predatory sponsorships out there, and I want you guys to be able to see them, to be able to recognise them, and to know what to do in that situation. And that all starts with understanding what predatory sponsorships are, what makes a bad sponsorship bad. So we're going to talk about some red flags when it comes to sponsorships, because it's so important. Hello, Thunder. Good to see you. And then, of course, we're going to talk about some best practices. Some best practices when it comes to approaching sponsorships and the ideas of sponsorships for yourself. Because I would like to leave you guys with some things that you can turn around and put into action on your own. Things that you can turn around and you can look at your own streams, your own content, and your own planning and go, I can do this today. So those are the things that we're going to be talking about today. Hopefully, you guys have some questions. Feel free to express them. If not, it's totally fine. I am set to sit here and waffle on for a while. But these have never meant for me to just sit here on my soapbox and tell you how to do things or what's the right and proper way, as if I am the be-all end-all of information, because I'm not. I'm not. I can only share with you guys what I know, what I've experienced, and what I've seen, what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And so that's what I share with you guys. You guys may have different experiences, you may have different points that you'd like to make, or you may view things a bit differently, and I really do encourage you to share those things. Because there's no one singular right or wrong way to go about things. Alright, so let's get into it. Wunder, I have one point, but I got to wait until you begin talking about it, in case the point I want to make is actually going to be addressed later. Alright, perfect, that sounds great. This is why we try to start with a bit of an outline to let you guys know the 4 topics that we're going to be talking about. But we'll get into them, and when we do discuss the topic that you have in mind, please feel free to chime in and let us know. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is what sponsorships actually are. Now, we've all seen people promoting different products and that sort of thing, but I think it's important to really talk about what is a sponsorship. Sponsorships typically come in 2 different forms. Either a review of a product or service, or simply promotion of a product or service. Now, with reviews, that usually means that sometimes they'll send you the product, sometimes you'll have to buy it, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But it's essentially you use the product or you use the service and you give your opinion on what this product or service is, right? You give your opinion on it and you say, I think it's great or I think it's total trash. Simply, you give your opinion on your review. Or there is promotion, which is basically you just tell your audience about this thing, whether that be a headset or HelloFresh, a meal prep service or something like that. You just tell your audience, hey, this thing exists, you should probably use it, right? So those are the two basic types of promotion, of sponsorships that you're probably going to get. Now, yes, there are other types of sponsorships out there. We've all seen product placement and that sort of thing. But chances are good you're probably not going to be approached for those kinds of sponsorships. So these are the two types of sponsorships that you're probably going to encounter. So we're going to focus more on those today. Now, when it comes to a sponsorship with your content creation, whether it be a review or a promotion, at the heart of it, at the very heart of it, the fact that you are talking about this product or this service means that what you are essentially giving is a paid endorsement. You, as a streamer, as a content creator, are lending your credibility to the product or the service that you're promoting. And it's a paid endorsement. It's much like when you see athletes and they're, in a commercial for Gatorade, right? The idea behind it is that, I like this athlete, I think he's cool, he wouldn't steer me wrong, I definitely am going to buy Gatorade. That's the idea behind a sponsorship. This is why companies are going to come to you looking for you to promote and endorse their products. That's what these things are. So it's very important that you pay attention to that and you realise, even if it's just a review, even if it is just a review of the product, you are still talking about the product. And a lot of sponsorships are not out here for a genuine, honest review if their product or service sucks. Right? If you think about it, if they're paying you money, they're spending marketing money to pay you. You are an advertisement. You are the exact same as running a commercial or an ad on Twitch or on YouTube. The difference is that you personally are talking about it. Alright? And companies are usually not going to spend their marketing budget to have you tell other people that their product or service sucks. This is why we have all kinds of laws and rules and regulations about properly disclosing that you're doing a paid endorsement. Because people need to know that you're being paid for the opinion that you're giving, and it might not always be entirely honest. Not to suggest that you're going to lie and tell people that a product is great if it's not. But a lot of companies are going to really focus on what you can and can't say. So they may be totally alright with you saying, the price is great. But they might not be okay with you saying, the price is great because it's a really crappy product and that's why it's so cheap. Nobody's going to pay you to say that. And when it comes to just regular promotion, you are now endorsing that product. You are saying, hey, this is a good product, you should buy it, or you should use this service, or you should whatever. And if you've been working to build your community, to build relationships with these people, your community is going to trust you. You're in a position of power over your community where you have a rapport with them and they trust you and your judgment. So you have a responsibility to make sure that when you're doing a promotion or a paid endorsement, it's a good one. Right? This is why it's important to be able to spot the differences between good sponsorships and bad sponsorships. Now, for me, personally, I have, as a good example, you guys that are watching these videos, if I were to sit here and tell you, oh, I found this wonderful website that will help you get sponsorships and you should use it. You guys are likely to trust me and to say, you know what? Yeah, I want sponsorships. Pay wants to help. She would not send us somewhere that is predatory, that's going to take advantage of us. I should totally use this and I will find sponsorships. It would have my endorsement, right? Now, if that website is actually good, for example, if it's a great place, then I can tell you about it and say, hey, this is a great place to go. You guys should check it out. And chances are good that you'll look at it. But if it's a bad site, chances are good you're still going to look at it because I told you. Because I told you, hey, this is a good place to go. You should look at this. And now you've walked into something because you've trusted me. And if I was wrong, if you get taken advantage of, not only are you in a bad spot because you've got taken advantage of, but I am in a bad spot. Because I told you to go check it out. And if it doesn't work out for you, if it's bad, if it's predatory for you, you're now not going to trust me. If I tell you something about something else, you're going to remember, oh, well, hey, that last thing you promoted to us, and you're probably not going to continue to take my advice or continue to listen. So you don't want to fall into that with your own community. You don't want your own community to look at things and go, you told us about this thing, you did this sponsorship for whatever this item was, and I bought it and I paid for it and I thought it was going to be great, but, it fell apart a week later. So this next thing that you're promoting, I don't think I'm going to want to check that out. So doing due diligence on potential sponsorships has a huge, huge impact, and it's very important for you to pay attention to. Hello, Lauren. Welcome in. It's good to see you. Sorry about that. Had to have some tea. Alright, so now that we've talked about... Pint. You have a pint, Funder. Is it related to those 2 points that we just talked about? If it is, go ahead and jump on into the Discord. The mods are sitting there in the waiting room for you, in order to make sure your mic works and all of that. And we'll get you in if your point is on those 2 things that we just talked about. Blobby is muted and you have no idea what's going on today. No worries. I think I had to go AFK because of issues, and I think I may have missed 1 or 2 things. Alright. If you want to just pop into the waiting room, just pop on into waiting room 2 there, and I'll pull you in. And we can figure out what it is that you have to say. Alright, Thunder, just a moment here. Just a moment. Alright, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Alright. So, what was it that you had for us today?
I don't know if you plan to talk about this or if you've already talked about it, but I want to make a point regarding sponsorships in general. When it comes to getting a sponsorship offer, make sure you read the terms correctly, because you remember the Raid Shadow Legends stuff that a lot of us got. You had to
Yep.
do like 4 hours
Yep.
of games. Remember, always read your.
Yes.
If you get offered a sponsorship, always read it thoroughly, because you will likely miss out details that could cost you making a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is a topic that we plan to talk about. A little bit later on, we're going to talk about that when it comes to predatory sponsorships. So we will go over that. But yes, that's a very, very good point. And when we're going over that, if there's anything that you'd like to add, I invite you to pop back in.
I will.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. All right. So, yes, but absolutely a wonderful point. We will get to it. I promise, Wonder. I will. All right. So, we've talked a bit about what sponsorships are and why it's important to make sure that you're using, your critical thinking skills. You're looking for red flags. You're knowing, finding a good sponsorship is important. And we know why it's important. So, what do good sponsorships look like? What are the types of sponsorships that we're actually looking for? What are some good ones and how do we find them? So, the first thing that I would like you guys to know and to look at when it comes to good sponsorships is the sponsorship is for a quality product or a service that provides value, right? So, if it's for a product, if it's for like, hey, these headphones are great, or this microphone is great, or this stream deck is great, or whatever it is, make sure that it's a quality product. Make sure that it's something you like, that you enjoy, that you've used yourself, that you know to be good. It doesn't necessarily have to be the best thing in the world. It doesn't have to be the best microphone, or it doesn't have to be, the absolute best wallet on the face of the planet, whatever it is. It does not have to be the best, but it does have to be good. It has to be good quality. Or if it's a service, if it's a service, and I know you guys have all seen NordVPN and the VPNs going out there, that would be an example of a service. It has to be a service that is going to provide value, something that you really endorse, something that you can see, yeah, I could see why people would use this. I think it's a good, service. And I think the price is right. I don't think that it's predatory. I don't think that they're ripping people off with their service. You really have to look into the sponsorship that you're doing. Look into the product, get to know the product, use the product, stand by the product. Whether that's an actual physical item or a service. If those things don't resonate with you, not a good sponsorship. But if it's an item that you like, if it's something that you believe in, then it's a good sponsorship. If you feel good telling someone, hey, you should totally use this, I think it's great, then it's a good sponsorship. If it's not something that you believe in, or not something that you care about, or not something that you think your viewers are going to care about, it's probably not the right sponsorship for you. So make sure when you're thinking about sponsorships, when you're approached with a sponsorship, you want to make sure that it's a good quality product or a good quality service, and it's something that you believe in. Now that has a second point to it, which is you might like the product, you might think the product is great, but you also have to make sure that you want to be associated with the company. And this is something that a lot of people overlook. We exist in a world, in a climate on the internet, where everyone is passionate about something, social issues are huge and they're massive and they're very present and they're very much in the public eye all the time. All the time. And we see a lot of people who are associated with things that turn out to be negative getting brought down with them. A great example of this is recently there was a cryptocurrency issue. A cryptocurrency was being promoted to a large audience on Twitch, on YouTube, on the internet, to the fan base. And a lot of people bought into it. And they ended up getting scammed, essentially. In the end, they ended up getting scammed, and a bunch of people lost a bunch of money. A bunch of people lost out on a bunch of money. And obviously, that's terrible, right? We don't want people getting scammed. We don't like that. We don't support that. No one really does. But here's the thing. You might not support that. You know, you don't want people getting scammed. But if you promote a company that is scamming people, or that does turn out to, I don't know, have homophobic practices or racist tendencies or anything like that, any sort of scandal that that company goes through, you're associated with because you were promoting this company. So then it puts you in a position where you're going to have to stop and you're going to have to put out a statement that says, I don't support them, I've worked with them before, but I don't. You're going to have to publicly, disavow your relationship with this company. And that's a position that you don't want to find yourself in, because that's a lot of work and it's a whole issue. It's not just a matter of making a video, making a tweet that says, oh crap, this company, I've worked with them for 5 years. I've been doing promotions for them for 3 years, for 6 months, for whatever it is. And I've only just now found out that they're actually a terrible company. My bad. It's not like that, because you've damaged your credibility with people, right? Yes, you can walk back and you can say, I truly did not know, and that's fine. But if you do just a bit of due diligence beforehand, if you just look into the company, if you look into them for a while, the issues might become apparent to you. You might see that this is dangerous somewhere. And you might go, you know what? I see a lot of problems with your company, and I don't want to be associated with this. So make sure when you're looking at a potential sponsorship, you're looking at, is this going to be worth it for me? And is this something that I can believe in? Or is this going to cause me a lot more problems down the road? Does this keep in line with my values? Does it keep in line with my values, with what I stand for, with what my community comes to expect from me? Or does it not? And a good sponsorship is going to be for a good, quality product or service that does business in a way that you agree with. That's what good sponsorships look like. Good sponsorships also treat their purchase of your advertisement, of your endorsement, like a commission. Because that's what it is. You don't work for them. You're not part of their company, right? They are essentially commissioning you to make an advertisement for them, to give an advertisement for them. They are buying from you your endorsement. And a good sponsorship is going to treat it that way. And by that I mean they're going to realise that you and your community have value. They have value, and they're going to compensate you fairly for that value. They're not going to look at you as, I can just walk in and there's any number of streamers that can promote this product. I can toss them a handful of dollars and they'll do it and they'll put my ad out. A good sponsorship is one where they're going to come to you because of the fact that they know you have a community that trusts you. They value the kind of content that you put. Your endorsement to their product means something to them. You're not just any old advertisement that they can throw out anywhere at all. Your advertisement is important to them, and so they're going to treat it like a commission, where you are not the product, but your endorsement is the product. And because of that, they're going to compensate you fairly for your endorsement. Now, what that means is they're going to work with you, they're going to negotiate with you, they're going to offer you a fair price for your endorsement. They're not just buying an ad spot. They are taking your time and your work and your effort. And no, I don't just mean your time that you actually sit there and stream. You know, you're not your time that is actually you sitting there recording the advertisement. But they are going to compensate you for the time that you have put in building up your community, building up your rapport, building up your expertise within whatever it is that you're doing. And they're going to respect the fact that your community is important and has value to them. If they don't respect that, if they think sponsoring you is literally just paying you X number of dollars to perform X action, then they are simply paying you for the time you take to record or perform the actual advertisement. They're not paying you for your community and for your platform. And a good sponsorship is one where they realise and they respect the fact that they're paying you for your platform, not just for your time. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I really hope it does, because it's very, very important to understand that. It's incredibly important that you as a content creator understand that when it comes to sponsorships, you're not just a talking headpiece. You're not, just an ad space. You are a creator that has a platform. Now, there's a lot of sponsorships out there that are not going to view it that way. There's an entire market, an entire hugely vast market that views endorsements and sponsorships completely the wrong way. Completely the wrong way. And by indulging in them, by using and agreeing to these sponsorships, what we are doing as content creators is letting them know that the way they do business, the way they approach sponsorships with creators is fine and is acceptable. Because we accept those sponsorships that are bad. We basically tell them it's alright to do business with us as creators this way because we do them. And now we're at such a point where if you don't want to do an endorsement that is not a good endorsement, the company is probably not going to care. They're probably not going to care because, well, if you won't do it, someone else will. We'll just find somebody else. And for a lot of content creators, especially when they're new, a lot of you, I know, get into content creation because, you want to start making money, right? You want to start making money content creating, whether that be from streaming or making YouTube videos or TikToks or whatever it is. You want to monetize, you want to make money. And if a sponsorship comes along and offers you money, and you're like, this isn't the right sponsorship for me, I don't want to do this, I don't agree with it. And they turn to you and they say, well, someone else will. A lot of people run into a problem, where they're like, oh no, I just lost out on, whatever money this was. I just lost out on $200 or $300 or whatever it is, right? And that feels bad. We worry about it. We do. But here's the thing. If I refuse to take a bad sponsorship, if I choose to lose out on a couple of $100 for a bad sponsorship, and they go to someone else, and that someone else also disagrees to do this bad sponsorship, so they go to someone else. And if people just continually refuse to accept these bad sponsorships, it's going to force the company to change the way that they do business. If they cannot do business with us as content creators because of the way that they do business, they have to change the way that they do business. Now, do I mean to say that all of us sitting here in this tiny chat, all of us alone can make a difference? No. No. We are not going to force any one company to change their practice. However, if you continue to do this, if you continue to not take sponsorships, as you grow, as you build your community, as you network with more people, you're going to be sharing information that you learned. You're going to be making contacts of your own. You're going to be networking. People are going to start coming to you and ask you, hey, how do you do XYZ? How do you find a good sponsorship? How did you do that thing with your overlays? It's the natural progression of things, right? I'm sitting here telling you guys all about how things work and how you can and can't do things because I learned them and I'm sharing them with you. There are people that I go to, that I look up to, that I go with questions or that I learned from. And then people started asking me. How do I do these things? And you're going to run into that yourself as you grow. So you're going to be sharing that information. You're going to be sharing those practices. And then they in turn are going to be sharing them with their friends, with people that ask them. And slowly the atmosphere changes. It doesn't happen overnight with a single protest that says, we're all going to demand that things change. That kind of change starts with us. So it's really important that we stop accepting bad sponsorships and we start accepting good sponsorships. And if it doesn't matter so much for you personally, if you as a content creator are really just out there and you're like, I don't care, I'm just here for money, I will gladly take that money, that's fine. I'm not here to tell you that that's a bad way for you to be. But I would just like you to take a moment and consider how much that action that you're taking affects all of the other content creators. We've talked about it before in some of these teas, where we as content creators are a community. All of us. We might not know each other, we might never have spoken, but because we are all content creators, it affects all of us as a group. And I'd like you to just take a moment to think about that. Now, if you're still perfectly fine with that, totally cool, no harm done, you do you. I am not here to tell you what you can and can't do. But, think about it. All I'm saying. So, let's talk about predatory sponsorships. Predatory sponsorships, what they are, and how to find them. Now, a predatory sponsorship is going to be one that is inherently predatory. It's going to take advantage of you, or it's going to take advantage of your community. And those are all over the place. There's so many of them. And a lot of them, unfortunately, tend to target us. They tend to target us, me, and you guys. As smaller streamers, they specifically focus and target smaller streamers because smaller streamers don't know any better. Smaller streamers don't know any better. They don't. Now, that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You're just starting out in content creation. You're learning. It's a learning process. It's okay to not know these things. What's not okay is for someone to try to take advantage of you for not knowing these things. So I want to spend some time and focus on teaching you guys what are the bad things to watch out for. So that at the very least, you guys that are here, or you guys that see this video, I know that I've done what I can to help protect you. That's what I want to do. So, what are some red flags? How do you spot a predatory sponsorship? What do you look out for? You've been approached with a sponsorship, right? Maybe you've gotten one of those emails and you're super excited. You're like, yes, I have a sponsorship. Someone reached out to me. I might do it. This looks great. You're excited. It's an exciting thing. When someone approaches you for a sponsorship, it's an exciting moment. And congratulations. Congratulations. You've gotten big enough, you've gotten noticed. Someone has approached you with a sponsorship. I don't mean to belittle that. Good job. Truly. Well done. But now, it's time to look at that sponsorship and see if it's predatory. So, predatory sponsorships. You want to watch out for shoddy products or oversaturated ads. Now, we already talked about make sure it's a product that's a good product, something that you believe in, all of that, right? You want to make sure that it's not for a crappy product or a crappy service. It's the first thing you want to look for. Make sure if it's a physical item, it's, one, it's not harmful. It's not going to take someone's finger off or something like that. But it's also not going to fall apart in the first 5 minutes of using it. And it's going to do what you expect it to do. If it's a service, make sure that that service is legitimate and it's well priced. And it's not going to just take money from people and they'll never see it again. Watch out for scams. You've got to do your research. Do your research and make sure that is a good product. The other thing that you're going to want to watch out for is oversaturated ads. Oversaturated ads. And Wondersnell here made an excellent point about Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends, I'm sure you guys, for a time, those ads were everywhere, right? There's memes about it because they were everywhere. Everything for a while on the internet was brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. You could not escape the ads. You couldn't. They were flipping everywhere. Now, I want you to think for just a moment, outside of the fact that you couldn't escape the ads for Raid Shadow Legends. I want you to pull yourself out of that and think about Raid Shadow Legends itself. The actual game. You've seen the ads, we all have. Did you ever actually download and play the game? I know not a lot of people have. Not a lot of people have. And it's for multiple reasons. First of all, of course, if there's too many ads about it, people are sick of seeing it and they just don't want anything to do with your product anymore. On the other hand, some people actually did download and play Raid Shadow Legends and realised what a crappy game this was. What a terrible, predatory game this is. Raid Shadow Legends was a mobile game. It still is, by the way. It still is a mobile game that features a lot of microtransactions. And it's free to start. It's free to start and it's free to play. But if you would like to actually accomplish anything, if you'd like any sort of sense of accomplishment in the game, you have to pay increasing amounts of money. And there's a certain addictive aspect, an addictive quality to this game that makes it very much like gambling. It's designed to get people addicted to playing the game so that they spend large amounts of money on it. And it's not just Raid Shadow Legends that's like this. There's a bunch of other games that you might play yourself. Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle was another good one. Anything that features a sort of system by which you're paying money for a chance at something has an addictive aspect to it. And there's a huge drama and a huge discussion, not only on the internet, but in terms of lawmakers and regulations as well. Of, are these things legally gambling? Should we consider them to be legally gambling? Should we restrict these things so that children aren't doing it? Because gambling as a child, underage, is illegal. These games essentially exist before there's clear laws and regulations regarding them. And that can be really dangerous. And it turns out that maybe, Raid Shadow Legends, not the best thing to be promoting to our audiences, but nobody really knew that. Nobody really knew that because nobody really sat down and looked into it too hard. People just saw it as, hey, that's paying pretty well. Yeah, sure. Everybody else is doing these. It must be okay. It must be okay. It must be an okay company. If all of these other streamers that I know, that I watch, these other content creators, they go through and, they've done their diligence. I trust Pae. I know she's professional about things. She wouldn't endorse a bad thing. She endorsed them. I should too. There must be nothing wrong with her. And it just sort of spiraled until everyone and their brother was doing advertisements for this company, and it was everywhere. So what you really want to do, if you get approached, if you get offered a sponsorship, look for other people that have also done a sponsorship for this company, right? And you really want to pay attention to, are a lot of people doing this? Or am I the only one? Michael, this Raid Shadow Legends sounds like a good thing. And you know what, Michael? I have to disagree with you there. I do. I can't tell if you're just being sarcastic or if this is a genuine opinion that you held. If you could please clarify, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. So, if a bunch of people are doing an advertisement or a promotion or have a sponsorship with a company, you have to ask yourself two questions. Which is, one, did they do their due diligence on this company? Are these the types of people that do due diligence on the company? And therefore, does it just mean that it's a really good company? But two, I want you to ask yourself a question, alright? And that question is, if they need so much promotion, how good can they really be? Right? How good can they really be? Think about Lamborghini, right? When's the last time that you saw a Lamborghini advertisement on television or as a pre-roll to a YouTube video? When's the last time you saw that? Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Because it's a good product. They're not marketing to you. They know they're a good product. Right? You don't need 1,000,005 advertisements to convince you that it's a good product. It just is. So if a place is, trying to sponsor 700 different sponsorships, 700 content creators, all at the same time to promote their product, how good can their product actually be? So you want to watch out for those things. Michael, they sound like they have good business practices morally and ethically. Alright, so you're just being a troll then. Alright, no problem. If we could just keep on topic though, that'd be wonderful. If you on the other hand genuinely do think that Raid Shadow Legends sounds like it has good business practices, both morally and ethically, I would love to sit down with you. I'd love to sit down with you and have a conversation about it. Maybe we could do a podcast or something. Or just, if you wouldn't like it to be public, I'd be more than happy to sit down with you in Discord and have a conversation about it. I'm totally open to that. We don't think right here and right now is the correct place to do that. But if you're just trolling, troll away, my guy. Troll away. So, when it comes to watching out for predatory sponsorships, the next thing that you're going to want to look out for is that they don't value you or your community. Now, what we mean by this is that they are not trying to pay you for your endorsement. They want to buy your time. Now, we talked about this a little bit earlier on, where when you're getting a sponsorship, they're paying you for the community that you have built and for the trust that your community has in you for your promotion. They're not just paying you for the time to read their ad spot. Now, a predatory sponsorship is not going to try to pay you for any of that. A predatory sponsorship is going to go, here's the terms, here's the pay, either do it or don't. That means that they value their money more than your endorsement. And that is predatory. That is predatory because that means they're a company that has a marketing budget and they're going to spend it. And they go, if you won't take this, someone else will. We don't care about you or the community that you've built. Doesn't matter. You don't want to be involved with companies like that. You don't want sponsorships like that. You want sponsorships that are going to value the work that you have put in to build the platform that you have. What's really important to note is that if a company is willing to work with you to pay you for a sponsorship, for an endorsement, when you are really, really small, you don't have a platform or a rapport or a community for them to value. So they are just literally paying you for their time. So until you actually have a base and you actually have value and you actually have a community and you actually have a rapport, you don't really have anything to sell, essentially, to this company. So they have no incentive. They have no incentive whatsoever to sponsor you. Until you have something of value, They have nothing to pay you for. This is why you really should not rush into looking for sponsorships or trying to get them as soon as possible. You want good sponsorships, not predatory ones. And because it's so easy to prey on someone and to just, undervalue their work as a small streamer, companies do it, and they do it all the time. So really take a look at it. If you're if you're just starting out, really look at it. Take an extra look at it and see if that's a red flag for you. Because a lot of the time, it really is a red flag. And that can let you know a lot about whether or not that sponsorship is going to be worth it and valuable to you, or whether it's going to be predatory. Now, an important thing to note is that if you've done a bad sponsorship, well, that lets other companies know that, hey, you've done one of these sponsorships before, maybe you'd be open to doing another one like this. And once one company has taken advantage of you, it's a lot easier for another company to do the same. Now, this is not to say that if you've already done a sponsorship, if you've already done a bad sponsorship, it's not to say that that's it. You're only ever going to be targeted with bad sponsorships. There's no way out. It's the end of the world. You might as well quit and give up. No. Of course not. No. It's perfectly fine to have done bad sponsorships before. You can't change the past. But what you can do is do things better and differently in the future. So you can sit down and you can start changing the way that you interact with potential sponsorships from this point onward. And I hope that we provide you with an ability to do so. I hope that I'm able to give you some information to look at it and go out on your own to approach sponsorships in a way that is mindful and in a way that can protect yourself. So the last red flag that I would like to share with you when it comes to predatory sponsorships is exactly what Funder wanted to touch on earlier, which is a great point, a great topic. I absolutely agree with him. Is to watch out for companies that are just looking for free advertising. Because a lot of companies are really just looking for free advertising. Now, the way you figure out if a company is trying to get free advertising from you is to really focus on and pay attention to the terms of that sponsorship. Really look at what it is they're asking you to do. Are they asking you to, I don't know. Are they asking you to just tell your community about their product or their service and they'll pay you for doing so? If so, hey, that's perfectly fine. But there's a lot of companies out there who they'll say, oh, you can make up to X amount of money. They're not giving you a set price for the sponsorship. They're telling you that if it goes well, we'll pay you more. Basically, they don't want to gamble on you bringing them revenue. So they have structured it very, very carefully on their end so that if your endorsement, if your advertisement turns out not to generate a lot of revenue for them, it doesn't matter because they're not paying you very much for it. That's the way they're designed. Now, what you want, and what we've talked about ad nauseum at this point, is for someone to value you and your community and for your endorsement to mean something to them and therefore is valuable. If they're set up where your endorsement, if it doesn't go well, It doesn't matter because they're not paying you for it. Your endorsement doesn't mean anything to them. All that means anything to them is being promoted. That's it. That's all they care about. And they've set it up in such a fashion that if your endorsement doesn't do well, if it doesn't bring them a lot of revenue, then you as the streamer don't earn very much. A common structure for these, and one that I have seen a lot, and one that I have gotten myself, and just, to be quite honest with you, I just frankly ignored them. I have had quite a few sponsorship offers at this point. And I'm still quite small. I'm still quite small in the grand scheme of things. I may be quite larger than I was when I started. But I still, in the grand scheme of things, am a small streamer, a small content creator. And I've been approached with a lot of these. A lot of them being a small streamer. So you guys are going to be approached with these as well. There's no such thing as too small of a streamer to be approached by these predatory practices, because they are designed to take advantage of you as a small streamer. That's what they exist for. That is their sole purpose. They're not approaching the big streamers. They're not approaching partners with the same kind of structures that they're approaching you with. They're not. And what makes it really difficult is that a lot of these companies, they offer what are called partnership programs with them, wherein you go through different tiers or different levels of sponsorship with them. You start off at the base tier, and then once you hit a certain amount of following or standing, you get to the next tier and that sort of thing, and you can sort of work your way up through the tiers of sponsorship until you get a good sponsorship. A good sponsorship, like what the big guys have, like what the big streamers have. A lot of companies offer those. And they're really predatory at the bottom levels. They really are. They really, really are. Now, I would like to, at some point, go through and do an entire Tuesday tea about the structures of these companies and that sort of thing and what to watch out for in depth. But for today, we're just going to focus on the abstract of it, which is if something is set up wherein if you do everything that they ask you for, you might not get a full payment, then they are looking for free advertising. And I'll give you a good example just so that we're not so far out there and so abstract that nobody knows what we're talking about. If you are approached with an endorsement where they say, the bullet points of what we ask of you is we want you to stream for 4 hours. And while you're streaming for 4 hours, you're going to have our logo somewhere on your stream, and you're going to stream our game. You're going to play our game for 4 hours. You're going to have our logo on your stream. Right? That is what they're asking of you. That's their big ask. A lot of the time, they will also ask you to tell people, hey, here's what the game is. I'm playing it. Let me talk about it. Let me, show you what I'm doing. This is what they're looking for you to do. They're looking for you to explain what's happening, do a bit of a let's play, that sort of thing, or review it on stream. That's what they're asking of you. So if you do all of that, and you're guaranteed whatever the price is that they tell you you'll be getting, let's just say $500. Let's say they're going to pay you $500 to stream it for 4 hours. And at the end of doing that, you've streamed it for 4 hours and you get that $500. That's not predatory. That's not predatory. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. If, of course, you've done your due diligence and you like the game, you agree with what it stands for, you agree with the company, that sort of thing. If you're fine with doing that, that's totally fine, whatever the game happens to be. But where it becomes predatory is when they go, all right, you will do all of those things. You'll fulfill your end. You will do this 4-hour stream where you'll review us and you'll talk about us and you'll give us exposure. And then, if 10 people in your audience download the game using this link and they complete whatever task they want you to complete, whether that be if they just do the tutorial phase, if they make their first purchase, if they, whatever it is, then you get X amount of money for 10 people. And if 10 people do it and, if 20 people do it, then you get a greater amount. If 30 people do it, then you get a greater amount. What that is multi-level marketing, people. That's multi-level marketing. If you're unfamiliar with multi-level marketing, if you don't know what multi-level marketing is, there is a wonderful, wonderful content creator that I've never met, I've never talked to, but I watch a bunch of their content, and they are absolutely fabulous about talking about multi-level marketing. Their name is Emma Little Duck here on Twitch. On YouTube, they're Emma Thorne. And they talk about a lot of multi-level marketing things, and they're absolutely wonderful. You should definitely check them out. Definitely check them out. But it's designed so that way you do the work. You've done the stream, you've given the endorsement, but you don't really get paid for that endorsement unless you convince people in your audience to go sign up. To go sign up for the game, to go play the game, to go do whatever it is. So at that point, the company is saying the time that you take playing this game and doing all of this and the rapport that you have with your audience for them to want to go and do this means nothing to us. Means nothing to us. The only thing that matters to us is selling our product, getting your community onto our service, taking advantage of your community. We want to buy from you, your community. You don't want that. You don't want that. Your community is not for sale. Your community should not be for sale. They're not products that you can sell to companies. That's not how that works. Your community is not for sale. The company should be worthwhile to your community, not the other way around. And if you're being asked to do something wherein you do put in a bunch of work, you do a bunch of things, and then at the end of it, you might not get paid, or you might not get paid what you and your community are worth, then it's predatory. It's a massive, massive red flag. So make sure when you're getting these emails, asking you to join this program or join this partnership or do this sponsorship, make sure that you're really looking at what they mean. Because it's very, very important to do so. Now, as streamers get bigger, as they get larger, some people do have the luxury and the benefit and the ability to afford a social media manager or a manager in general or someone that handles promotions and sponsorships for you. There are companies that do that, but while you're small, chances are good none of those companies are going to want to represent you because you're small still. And you can't afford to just hire someone to do it for you because you're likely still small, you're likely not making a ton of money. So you have to learn how to do these things for yourself. You have to learn how to do these things for yourself. And it can be hard. It can definitely be very, very hard to do. If you have questions, if you need, an extra voice, if you just need an extra opinion or something like that, I encourage you guys to join our Discord. We have a tea party session there, specifically for content creators, to talk and network with each other and to work together. We have that section, we have that area set up. So that way you guys can bounce ideas off of each other and be able to talk to each other. And, you know, maybe I'll pop in and we can answer some of those questions for you. Maybe another content creator has an answer or has a viewpoint that they can give you. This is what we're working on building. We do have a secret project in the works in regards to that. Something coming quite soon, I think, to make that a little bit easier. But for now, please feel free to join the Discord and use it for that. As we grow, as that gets bigger, you know, things will get better for there. But we're still there. We're still there to help you and to talk to you about all of this stuff. So, please, join the Discord, join the community. If you get a sponsorship and you don't know if it's predatory, feel free to ask. Seriously, feel free to ask. Hit me up. Hit me up. Feel free to send me a DM. Send me a DM on Discord. Go ahead. Go ahead. I don't mind. So hit me up on Twitter. Twitter is where my DMs are open. My DMs are open there. On Discord, you can really only DM me if you're on my Discord. But Twitter's wide open. Wide open. If you have a question, if you don't know if something is predatory, feel free to hit me up. I'll answer. It might take me a while to get to you, because I respond to everything. But if you're patient, I'll get to you. I will. Go right ahead. Do it. So, now that we know a bit about what predatory sponsorships look like and what to watch out for in terms of these sponsorships, you know, because we don't want to get taken advantage of. We want to look for good sponsorships, but we don't want to get taken advantage of by any of these crappy ones. So, I would like to give you guys some best practices to think about. When you are going forward, when you're looking at potential sponsorships, when you're looking at maybe signing up with one of these companies, when you're looking at that, or if you get an email saying, hey, would you like to do an ad spot for Raid Shadow Legends? You can look at it and you can go through and you can say yes or no. I want you to be able to leave this workshop, leave this video with the ability to determine whether or not this sponsorship might be good for you. So, the first best practice, have a plan. We talk about this in literally every Tuesday tea. There it is. If you thought it wasn't going to be here, you were wrong. Have a plan. Now, by have a plan for yourself and your sponsorships, what we mean is have a plan before you start getting sponsorships. Or if you've already gotten offers, sit down, make yourself a plan of what kind of sponsorships you would like to do. What kind of sponsorships do you think you're qualified to do? Right? So if you talk about, I don't know, we'll take me for example. I talk to you guys on Tuesday Tea about content creation, how to be a good content creator, and things that a content creator might need. Right? So, it would make sense for me to promote products to you guys that you could actually use. It might make sense for me to tell you about a really good microphone, for example, that you could use when you're trying to figure out what products you want to use to start streaming. Another good sponsorship for me to do would be maybe a partnership program that is a good one. That's a good partnership program to get people into. So I know that those things would make sense for me, right? And because I know that those things would make sense for me, those are the types of things that I would promote. It also allows me to realise what sponsorships don't make sense for me. For example, it would hardly make much sense for me as a VTuber who does these workshops with you guys on Tuesdays, would it make sense for me to go, hey guys, today's stream is sponsored by Fae Cosmetics. Fae Cosmetics, they have the absolute best makeup in the entire world. And, you know, I really think you should use their eyeshadow. It's fantastic, you know, all of that. Does that make sense? Does that make... I don't even wear eyeshadow. And you guys aren't here to talk about eyeshadow. You don't care about makeup. That's not why you're here. That's not to say that you might not enjoy these things, but that's not why you come to my streams. That's not why you come to me. You don't care about my opinion on makeup. You care about my opinion on streaming and on content creation. That's why you're here. So having a plan for yourself and for what kind of endorsements and what kind of sponsorships make sense for you to do is going to be super, super helpful. So what you guys can do is sit down right now, make a plan. Make a plan for what kind of sponsorships you think would work out for you. What kind of sponsorships you think would work out for you. And leave them down there in the comments. Leave them down there in the comments below if you're brave enough. Just leave a comment that says what kind of sponsorship would you be good for, would work for you and your content. And I'll post my own. I'll post my own as well to start it off. I'll post one myself. I'll pin it. I'll pin it once I get there. Because, you know, fun tip. Research shows that if you commit to doing something publicly, you're 90% more likely to do it. Fun little fact. Fun little fact. So, commit. Commit. Drop it down there. Commit to working on your streams and to your sponsorships. And just jot down a couple of notes on the types of sponsorships you think might work for you. Do it. Do it. What you can also do, and I don't recommend that you put this out there publicly, but just for yourself, sit down and determine, what are you worth? What are you worth? What is your time and your effort worth? Now, whether that be what is it worth an hour, or whether that be, you know, what is it worth per advertisement? What is your time worth? Jot down a number. What do you think you're worth an hour? And then, and much more difficult, is to sit down and determine for yourself, what is your platform worth? All of the work that you have put in prior to this point, all of the assets that you've put together, all of the planning, all of the staging, all of the acting, all of the networking, all of this, all of the rapport that you have built with your community. What is that worth? Come up with a rough number, a rough idea. And then ask yourself, what is your community worth? What is your community worth to you? What is the absolute minimum price that you are willing to accept to promote something to your community? Once you have those three numbers, add them all together. Add them all together. What you're worth an hour, what the value of everything that you have built is worth, and what is the bare minimum amount that it would take for you to promote something to your audience. Add those three values together, and that is your minimum for a sponsorship. If you're not being offered at least that, say no. Very simple, very easy to do, very actionable thing to do. If it doesn't reach that number, that base number for you, walk away. Walk away from that sponsorship. Say no. You can do it. Now pay, you ask. What if it's a good sponsorship? What if I've realised it's not predatory, it's, you know, it's going to be a good sponsorship, they have a fair compensation plan, but the money is just not right for me. the money is just not right for me, or we think it might be a great company to work with, but I am not comfortable with putting their logo on, my go live announcement, or I am not comfortable with putting, their tag in my stream title. Maybe I like the company, I like, everything about it, but some of the terms that they're asking for, I'm just not comfortable with, or there's just not enough money. Ask questions and negotiate. If it's truly a good sponsorship for you, you can reach out to them. You can ask them questions. If anything about what they're asking you to do is unclear, reach out and ask them. If it's a good sponsorship, they will answer you. They will reach back out to you and they will explain what you need to know. They'll help you understand what it is that they're actually asking for you. If they don't answer you, if they don't reach back out to you and let them know what you're actually asking for, it's not worth it, walk away. Easy enough. If they can't take the time of day to answer a question that you have about their sponsorship that they're trying to pay you for, walk away. Don't do it. And negotiate. You can negotiate. You can talk to them and say, whatever it is. If you're not comfortable with one thing, but you still like to work with them, if the money is not quite there, you can negotiate with them. Now, we'll touch on this later on, not later on in this stream, but in a later video. We'll talk about how to negotiate so that you know how to do this for yourself. But right now, we're not going to touch on the specific ways in which you negotiate. And honestly speaking, if you don't know how to negotiate with a company, don't do it. Do not do it. Do not try to negotiate with a company if you do not know how. Alright? That's very, very important. But if you do know how to negotiate with a company, negotiate with them. And you guys will get to a point where you'll know how to negotiate with a company. And we'll talk about it. We'll have a whole tea about it. So we'll get you there. We'll get you to know how to negotiate with a company. But for now, if you know how to negotiate with a company about their sponsorship. You can ask for more money. You can ask for a shorter stream time. You can ask for, not to have to put, their logo somewhere. Talk to them about it. If it's a good sponsorship, they'll reply to you. They'll talk to you. They'll be willing to work with you. They'll negotiate their terms. If they're not willing to negotiate, if they're not even willing to talk to you about it, walk away. Walk away. If they will not negotiate, walk away. If you don't know how to negotiate yet, so you can't negotiate, and you don't know whether they're willing to negotiate, just walk away. Just walk away. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Just walk away. It's not going to be your only chance at a sponsorship. Chances are good. If they're a good sponsorship, they'll reach back out to you later on after you've grown. And if they're a bad sponsorship, they won't reach back out to you about it. They won't follow up with you about it. You can just walk away. Feel free to ignore it. It's not the end of the world. You'll find another one. Don't seek validation through sponsorships. This is a big best practice, you guys. Sorry, just had to drink some tea so I don't die. A lot of us as streamers have this tendency to look at getting a sponsorship as a huge accomplishment, right? And I don't mean to belittle it. I really do not. The fact that you are out there and you're promoting yourself and you're working at things and you have been noticed by a company is still an amazing accomplishment for you as a streamer, as a content creator. Alright? It's still an amazing accomplishment. And I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. But, you cannot look at the fact that someone has offered to sponsor you as validation for what you're doing. It really can't be, oh, I'm a big streamer. Look, this company reached out to me. They want to sponsor me. I've made it, you guys. Look at me. Yes, I'm doing it. It's tempting. It is. It's really tempting to be that way and to look at it like that. It is. Because it's a validating feeling. Validating feelings are fantastic, right? And we all would like, I think, someone to validate us and let us know we're doing great. You know, our content is good. We're growing. They see the work. They see the time and the effort that we put into things. We want someone to be there to say that to us. Sponsorships are not the way to get that validation. Getting a sponsorship is not what should be validating you as a streamer. Getting a sponsorship is not validating you as a streamer. Instead, you as the streamer are validating the sponsor. You're lending your credibility to your sponsor, not the other way around. And that's a very important distinction to have. You need to focus on that and remember that. You are giving your validation to the product, to the item, to whatever it is that you're promoting. The company is not giving validation to you. This is why, if you look at big websites that use streamers for sponsorships, right? You look at Razer, you look at Streamlabs, you look at any of these companies, and they say, oh, we're used by, you know, PewDiePie, or we're used by Pokemon, or we're used by whoever it is that's on there. Whatever streamer it is that they're promoting, they're marketing to you and saying, this streamer uses us, therefore we must be good. You should use us also. It's not the company going, hey, you guys, our customers of gaming headsets, or our customers of keyboards, or our customers that play this game. You know who's a really great streamer that you should watch? This person. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Just because a company has sponsored you does not mean all of a sudden you are going to see a bunch of growth and you're going to, you know, the exposure. That's not how that works. You are giving your endorsement to the product. They're using you as a selling point. So don't seek validation through your sponsorships. If you need validation, this is why you workshop with your community. Workshop with other creators. This is why you join something like Tuesday Tea. So that way you can find that validation elsewhere, in a way that's going to be meaningful and to actually allow you to grow. Sponsorships are not your validation. Don't look at them that way. If you do, you're going to be taken advantage of. And a lot of these companies know that. A lot of these companies, they really do know that. They know that it means validation for you, so they can take advantage of you. And they're more than willing to do it. So our next best practice is to just wait. Wait for the right sponsorship. Wait for the right sponsorship to come along. I know it can be hard. I know it can be hard because, as we said, a lot of us want money. We want money. Whether you want money because you want to become a full-time streamer and this is what you'd like to do for your job, or you're in a bad financial situation, or maybe you just want money to be able to pour back into your content, into your business in order to continue to grow. We want money, and money is tempting. But it's important to wait for the right sponsorship. It's really important to wait for the right sponsorship. Now, if you're not a full-time streamer yet, chances are good you have another job. It's not so important. It's not going to be so important that you have no choice but to take a bad sponsorship. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to pay rent this month. So you can walk away. You can walk away from a bad sponsorship. And that is really important. That's really important that you have that ability. And to remember that most of you do have that ability. If you guys are here right now, you're probably not a full-time streamer. Streaming is probably not your only source of income, right? This is something you're doing on the side while going to school, while still working another job, while living at home, whatever it is. So you have the ability to walk away, to say no to a bad sponsorship. Use that ability. Use that ability, walk away from a bad sponsorship and wait for the right one. For the right sponsorship that is going to be good for you. And that's going to benefit you in the long term as well. Because you're going to show yourself as someone who is a good person for good companies to work with. It's going to build your credibility as a content creator. Because you're not just willing to work with just anyone. Not just anyone can buy your endorsement. Your endorsement means something. So it's important that you do that. Right? Wait for the right sponsorship. And last but not least, do not seek out sponsorships until you're ready for them. Until you're ready for sponsorships, until you're actually ready for sponsorships, don't seek them out. Don't go looking for them. I know a lot of us, a big question that I get all the time, a thing that I see people talking about all of the time, is where do I find sponsorships? How do I get them? Oh my gosh, I could sign up for this service or this website that will connect me with other sponsorships. I should do this, I should start getting... No. 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 Don't do that. Don't do that. Until you know how to spot a band sponsorship, which hopefully you know a bit more about now. Until you know how to spot a good sponsorship. Until you know how to negotiate your terms. Until you have a plan of what kinds of sponsorships you should be doing, you should not be doing sponsorships. And until you have value, until you have rapport and credibility with your community and what you're doing, until you have value, till you actually have something to offer in the eyes of the company, you should not be looking for sponsorships. Because a good sponsorship isn't going to want to sponsor you if you only have one viewer in your chat 5 days a week. It's true. It's terrible. It's horrible to say. It's not to say that one viewer is bad. Not at all. It's a process. It's growth. It's community. It's all of these things that we've talked about. But in the eyes of a company that is going to be paying you, if you only have one viewer, you don't offer them any value. They have no incentive to work with you. So until you have that foundation, until you have that basis, you should not be actively seeking out sponsorships. If you're a small-time creator, like me, you should not be actively seeking out sponsorships, and you should just be responding to the ones that come to you. Now, what that means is go ahead and make yourself visible. Put a business email for business inquiries. Put it on your YouTube video descriptions. Put it in, your Discord server. Put it on your Twitch panels. Put it there, let them know how they can get in touch with you if they'd like to. And then, while you're working on all of these other things, wait for the sponsors to come to you. Once you have all of these things set up, once you have a bit of a community, you know your value, you know your worth, you know what you will and will not do, then you can go out and you can actively seek out sponsorships. But not before then. You have to walk before you can run. Very important to pay attention to. Very important. Alright, let's see what some of you guys are saying here in the chat. Wundersnell, if I were sponsored by something, I'd rather it be something that I like to use or play. Like VR are games I actually enjoy playing. Yeah, very true. So it would make sense for you to do those kinds of sponsorships. Absolutely, well done. Well done, you should post that in a comment below the video and just pin it there. Just post it right there. It'll be there for you forever. So you can go back and you can look at it. This is taking notes. Taking notes, go back to it. Committing publicly, it's wonderful. Give it a try. Give it a try. Obsidian Online. I was offered into a company that can talk you with sponsors, and about a year ago, I looked into it. I researched a ton on everyone in the company. It was completely legit. I never signed up for it. Aha! That sounds quite interesting. That sounds quite interesting. I'm assuming that this was back before, when you were streaming before you did all of your rebranding. You know what? Lauren? Let's have a chat about this. Yeah, we're going to chat about it. Hold on. Love to talk to you about this. Hello.
Hello. Oh, I thought
Alright.
YouTube. Hold up. Oh, YouTube's bugging out. I just have to mute the site. Oh.
Sorry about that. Just yanked you right in today.
That's alright.
So, this was when you were super small that this happened.
Yeah, I had like 15 followers on Twitch and I had about 300 subscribers on YouTube. I was really small.
Alright, and
yeah.
Just really quickly, without using any company names, just because we don't know if they're still operating, and I mean, I'm fine talking about certain companies, but I don't know which company this is going to be. So, without using a company name, can you tell us a little bit about what the company offered to do?
Basically, hold on, I'm trying to find the email, but they emailed me because I have a business email, and they were like, "Hey, I watched a few of your videos, and you seem pretty good. You seem like a person that would enjoy sponsoring people." And they were like, "Our company helps you get into contact with a ton of people that will sponsor you and give you a ton of deals where you can just, make money by sponsoring them." And I Googled everyone in the company that I was given names for. I watched the video they sent me. I Googled the company, read all the terms and conditions, and it was like the most legit company you could ever find. But I just didn't sign up for it. I still don't know why to this day, but there's probably a reason I didn't.
Yeah. I actually, along that same sort of thread, I recently had one of those myself. There's a lot of companies out there that what they do is they're looking for people to join their platform or their service, so that way they in turn can market advertisements. So the way that it works is, let's say I'm this company, right? And I get 5 streamers to sign up for this company that say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm available to do endorsements or to do reviews or to do whatever it is. I'm open for sponsorships. Check me out. See if you would like." to sponsor me. And the company, the platform that actually hosts those, they go to companies and they say, hey, I have a bunch of potential sponsors that you can reach out to, pay me money to access my platform and gain access to these content creators that you can then reach out to do your sponsorship or to do your advertisements for. Right?
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in that aspect, the platform that is reaching out to you to join it, you are a product. You are a product that platform is selling to someone else. They're essentially trying to buy you and your participation.
Wow. I've never really thought of it like that.
Now, it's not to say that all of those are terrible or that all of those are bad, because I'm sure that some of them are. And I would like to talk to you guys about one of them that I found, but that's going to be for another tea. That's going to be for another tea. But a lot of them are very predatory. A lot of them really are. And I recently got one myself. It was a little bit different because this platform wasn't asking me to join their platform. They were asking me to promote their platform. They were asking me to sit here and tell you guys all about their platform and how it's a great place to get sponsorships and all of that. And I looked into it. I started doing my due diligence on it. I said, all right, let me ask my questions that I have. Let me check out the platform, all of that. And I sent an email back. I sent an email back to the guy that had originally emailed me. And I said, all right, this letter that he sent me seemed very, very much like a form letter, like something he sent out to a lot of people before. Seemed very much like that. But I responded regardless. And I asked some questions about things and I voiced a couple of concerns. And I was expecting an answer back. And I did. I did in fact get an answer back. And this is something that I hope you guys will look out for. Because from experience, this happens. The answer that I got back was another form letter. This was a personal email, and what I got back was a form letter, quite like what you would get if you were using a website and interacting with like their self-help ticketing system or something like that. You know how annoying those are?
Oh yeah, those are so annoying.
So that's actually what I got back in my email. In my email that I expected to be a conversation between myself and this person that had sent me this email, I got back a form letter. And there are things that you can set up that for a business will automatically reply to emails. They'll automatically reply to emails, they'll look for keywords, and they'll send back an email in response that. So let's say if I had a question and I was like, I don't know if this compensation is going to work for me. What's the payment structure like? Their little program will find payment structure and realise, okay, we should send this form letter about all of our payment structures. We already have an FAQ regarding our payment structures, so we'll automatically send you this email with all of the information that we think you need. But if your question was very specific, it doesn't actually answer your question. What that is kind of just brushing you off. It's kind of just brushing you off and saying, oh, you have questions? Here's all of the answers. We've answered these already. You can't possibly be asking anything different. You're not worth the time to talk to.
Yeah, I found the email and I responded to him and he never answered. So,
Yep.
like, I was asking like so many specific things that, yeah, it was most likely just one of those. I even had a click here to unsubscribe link on it, which I've just now noticed. What did I subscribe to back in March? Or did he just like find me and subscribe me to this thing? Who knows?
Chances are good that at some point you used some sort of connect me with services thing. There's one like through Streamlabs that I know a lot of people signed into, just checking it out. Stream Elements has one as well. That's probably where it came from.
Probably.
But now that you've looked at it a little bit, does the company still seem completely legit?
Looking back at this email, it kind of doesn't. It's like, it literally just kind of seems like something that they would send to like 1,000 people a day.
Yep.
And yeah.
So it went from you saying, I got an offer from a company before that was completely legit.
Yeah, to me now rereading this email to know that was not legit. Even though I Googled it. Like, everything. Like, I think I spent like a week researching it and found everything was legit, and now I'm rereading it, and I'm like, that was not legit. What was wrong with me?
Yeah, but you know what? That's alright. That's alright, because it does get hard. It does get hard to do good research on these companies, because a lot of them are not very transparent, right? They're not very transparent with how much people actually earn with them. You know, how do they typically do business? Do they have a structure for how they handle and manage things? A lot of it's not really transparent, and it's very difficult to find. Even if you are researching it, even if you know to research, it can be hard to actually get the information that you need, which is why it's really important for us to set a good baseline for ourselves of, you know, if a company does action A, then it's pretty likely that they tend to mess around with payments on the back end or something, you know. If a company cannot respond to me in an email, then it's pretty clear that if we have a problem with them later on and I do need support, I'm not going to get it.
Yep.
We kind of have to find alternative ways to look at the sponsorships that are being offered, because a lot of the times they're not going to allow us the information about their actual business that we need in order to make a decision as a business ourselves.
Yeah, and it's kind of strange that he reached out to me when I was like super small and not many people noticed. And I think even like ages before this email that we've been talking about, I got another one by a completely different company, and I was like, that's sketchy. I'm too small for that. I had like 50 subscribers, and I was like, no. It's good that even younger me knew, no, that's sketchy. But
Yeah, there's a lot of red flags. There really are. There's a ton of them. And I'm glad. I'm glad that you're able to, you know, not only start seeing things a little bit differently now, but also that you're willing to tell us about, you know, hey, when I was small, I almost made a big mistake.
yeah, I am fully open to talking about mistakes. I think it helps people learn without them actually experiencing it.
I do as well. And thank you for letting me drag you in here. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, I'm just going to pop you back out here. Whoop, pop you out. There we go. So, as you can see, there's a lot of things. That things definitely do target smaller streamers. They definitely do. A lot of these things are going to target you, and I mean, they happened. They happened back in the day, as Obsidian Online is so kind to talk to us about. But they happened to me too. They're still happening right now. I just got one of these a couple of weeks back. And it was a bad thing. It was a bad thing. So when I started looking into it, I said, all right, you can't reply to me. This is bad. I already knew from the email that I sent that I was not going to accept this sponsorship. But I also knew, because I do these Tuesday teas, I do this Tuesday teas with you guys, that it would be a good topic to discuss. So, for an example, I decided to go in and really check out this company. And I'd like to talk to you guys about that, but we'll get into that on another tea when we're talking about predatory sponsorships and that sort of thing. But it was really interesting to see a lot of the things that are going on that you guys run into. So, if you guys do run into some sponsorships, if you run into some predatory sponsorships, if you've gotten an email or anything like that, if you've run into any of those and you're not sure if it's predatory, or if you're damn sure that is predatory, drop it in the comments below. Let me know on the Discord. Shoot me a DM on Twitter. Let me know. Let me see what you've got. Share these things with me. Because I'd like to see some more examples. I'd like to talk some more about them. So send those to me, so that we can talk all about these things. Mr. Rumble Roses. I mean, if they didn't give good responses, I'd probably unsub to or something. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we have to do. That is what we have to do. So you guys, that's it. That is it. That is all I want to talk to you today about in terms of sponsorships. Again, there are going to be more teas coming. We're definitely going to talk about this again in the future. We're going to talk about some different aspects of it. But I hope at the very least this has been able to serve for you to start today, start from right now, looking at sponsorships, be able to protect yourselves a little bit, and to be able to think about it. We'll get into more specifics, but I hope at the very least you walk away from here having learned something. If you're leaving the stream right now, if you're watching this video on YouTube and any of this was helpful to you, please hit the thumbs up on the stream, hit the thumbs up on the video, hit that subscribe button if you would. It would really, really mean the world to me. I'm trying to hit 200 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the year. I know that's not it's not a huge goal in the grand scheme of things. When there's streamers who are so much larger, but I would like to hit 200 by the end of the year, so it would be super helpful. I encourage everyone, of course, to please come see us on the Discord. If you have any questions, anything like that, if you just want to get around some other creators, come join us there. Comments down below, I read all of them. Hit me up on Twitter, wherever. I'm on Instagram as well. And I shall see you all next week. Thank you so much for joining me. And until the next time, when the grave door opens, I am Paegan O'Ceallaigh. May harmony find you.